All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahweh Shai, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahweh Shai, Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom, salute, honors to you, Akim, that's teaching the truth and sincerity. And shalom to the 1/3 that's scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, that's a part of the house of Israel. Today's topic is taking matters into your own hands, remembering David, Nabal, and Abigail. And this is a history lesson. And this covers the topic of trusting in the Lord, casting your burdens upon the Lord, and being patient in suffering, okay? Taking losses, and letting the Lord avenge us. Because, we're in this flesh, and there'll be moments that you want to do things carnally, or you want to take matters into your own hands, solve problems yourself, get out of situations yourself. But us being service of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, we have to trust in him, and we have to patiently wait upon him and wait for his answer. Okay, his answer upon the wicked, his answer towards the 2/3, his answer upon our enemies. All right. And I'm going to go into a few scriptures and touch on the history of David, account of King David, and what happened with him, and him patiently waiting, and him not taking matters into his own hands. All right. So let's get into it. This is Proverbs chapter 20, verse 22. Say not thou, I will recompense evil, but wait on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and he shall save thee. I'm going to read it again. Say not thou, I will recompense evil. Now we know recompense meaning pay back. So we're not going to render evil for evil. We're not going to sit there, all the slanders and scoffers that talk shit about us, and all the forces of evil, the workers of iniquity, and the forces of darkness that come up upon us, that come up against us. We're not going to render evil upon them. Okay, like Yahweh Shai said, the enemy, if thy enemy smote thee, turn the other cheek. Why? Because we're going to wait on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai to do his thing. We're not going to take it upon ourselves to render judgment or to render actions. Okay, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai can do way worse than anything that we can do to these niggas and these scoffers and slanderers, and to our people that rise up against us. So it says, but wait on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and he shall save thee. And we have faith that he can do that. Okay? This is Hebrews chapter 10, verse 30. For we know him that have said, vengeance belongeth unto me. I will recompense, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And again, the Lord shall judge his people. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. Because you got to remember, this is not our message. We're not out there on the streets preaching our life story. We're not out there in the streets giving the people our wisdom or the world's wisdom. We're giving them the words of the Heavenly Father and his Son. We're out there telling them, teaching them showing them their transgressions, and telling them to repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. We're crying aloud and sparing not, lifting up our voice as a trumpet and showing our people their transgressions. We're telling our people what's good from evil. All we doing is saying, thus saith the Lord, and as it is written. So they don't have a problem with us. They have a problem with our power. So because they have a problem with our power is going to be the ones that's going to deal with these people. All right? So it says, for we know him that have said, vengeance belongeth unto me. I will pay back, saith Yahweh. And again, the Lord shall judge his people. Because at the end of the day, when the time comes and judgment is played out on the earth by the way of martial law, by the way of the sword, by the so-called white man, which is Esau according to the Bible, by the way of the RFID chip, and by the end of the all be it all, the second death, the thermonuclear destruction, the Lord shall judge his people. Okay? It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. It is a fearful thing, man. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Because we fear what the Most High is going to do when the time comes. So we're trying to get it right now. We're trying to walk a straight path now and live a righteous life now, so we won't be judged later on. But 2/3 of our people and our enemies, the heathen nations and Esau, they all are going to face the wrath of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Now let's get into the account. This is 1 Samuel chapter 25. This is 1 Samuel, Salakia, 1 second. Salakia Akim. Trying to make sure it's all good, that y'all can read along. All right, come. Y'all can see, y'all can hear, right? All right, good. Salakia. Satan been messing around all morning, man. Salakia for that. All right, so let's get into the account. This is 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 1. And Samuel died, and all the Israelites was gathered together and lamented him, and buried him in the house of Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. And there was a man in Maon whose possession were in Carmel, and the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was sharing his sheep in Carmel. And it says, now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail, and she was a woman of good understanding and of a beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil in his doing, and he was of the house of Caleb. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did share his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, peace be both to thee, and peace be to thy house, and peace be unto all that thou hast. And now I heard that thou hast shearers. Now thy shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them. And while they were in Carmel, ask thy young men, and they will shew thee. Wherefore let the young men find favor in thy eyes, for we come in the day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever to thy hand unto thy servants and to thy son David. And where David young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all the words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David, servants And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants now, a days that break away every man and his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? So Nabal is talking shit. Now David, while Nabal's shepherds or men was in Carmel, David made sure that his men was all right. He made sure that his livestock or his money, okay, his possessions was safe, was protected. So David asked for a favor that he give him some, sheep and some possessions and some materials because he protected his Nabal's possessions while they was in Carmel. So it says David. So David young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those things. And David said unto his men, Gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers out to the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. Let's look up to the word railed. The Hebrew word here is ayat. Ayat. This is the I, this is the ya, this is the ta. Ayat. To scream, shriek, to scream, to dart greedily, swoop upon, rush upon, to dart greedily. Rail. So he was balking on David men. He was talking shit. All right. He got out of line, he got out of character to David's messages. And all David was doing was asking him for favor because David looked out for his shepherds. Okay. So it says, but the men were very good unto us. This is the servants of Nabal here. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything, as long as we conversate we conversate with them when we were in the fields. They were a wall unto us, meaning a protection. A wall is defense. Okay. They were a wall unto us by night and day. All the while we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now therefore, know and consider what thou wilt do. For evil is determined against our master and against all his household. Because back in the days, in the ancient world, in the customs of Israel, it wasn't only the person that committed the offense that had to pay. His whole household, because the man is the head of the household. So the whole household had to pay for the offense of one man. Okay? Going back to the man that stole the Babylonian garments. His wife died, his kids died, his pets, his animals died. His whole household had to pay for him stealing the Babylonian garments. So because of Nabal offenses, David was going to slay his whole household, man, and all the servants. All right. So it says, read it on. For he is such a son of Belial that a man cannot speak unto him. Then Abigail made haste. This is the wife of Nabal. Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed and 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs and laid them on asses. Now this is real riches. Okay, this is real wealth, not the FRN notes, the imaginary paper money that we have today, the Walt Disney money that we have today, monopoly money. Okay, and she said unto her servants, go on before me before I come after you. Says, and she said unto her servants, Go on before me. Behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the cover of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David had said, surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow had in the wilderness, so that nothing was amiss of all that pertained unto him, and he have requited me evil for good. See, so David looked out for his possession, his his livestock, okay, his wealth, and all David did was ask for a favor, and he shitted on David. All right, reading on, verse 22. So and more also do the Most High unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertain to him by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall. Now, this is just an old English terminology. All right. All that means is David is going to slay all that he has, that nothing be there by the morning time. That's all this means. It says, if I leave all that pertain to him by the morning light, any that pisseth against the wall. Because what happens when you wake up in the morning? You take a piss. So David said, I'll be damned if I leave anybody by the morning time when people go and take a piss. All right. Verse 23. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass, and fell before David on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and fell at his feet, and said, upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be. And let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thy audience, and let and hear the words of thy handmaid. Let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so he is he. Now let's look up this word, this name. The Hebrew word is Nabal. This is the Na. This is the Ba. And this is the La. Nabal. Nabal, or Nabahal, which means fool. So Nabal means fool. All right. So his woman was talking shit. She's cursing. She's cursing him out, man. She's like, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. So we gotta start calling these Jakes Nabal, man. Straight up fools. As his name is, so is he. A goddamn fool. 2/3 of our people are Nabal, Nabalium, which means fools. All right. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thy handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord, whom thou didst send. Now therefore, my Lord, as Yahweh liveth, and as thy soul liveth, see Yahweh have withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thy own hand. Taking matters into his own hands, like the topic. Now let thy enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal, be as a fool. All right. And now this blessing which thy handmaid have brought unto my Lord, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. So she brought enough livestock, not only for David, but for the service of David as well. It says, I pray thee, forgive this trespass of thy handmaid, for the Yahweh will certainly make my Lord a shored house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of Yahweh, and evil have not been found in thee all thy days. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee, and to seek thy soul. But the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with Yahweh thy power, and the souls of thy enemies, them shall he sling out, as out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh shall have done all to my Lord according to all the good that he hath spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of heart unto my Lord, even that thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord have avenged himself. But when Yahweh shall have dealt with my Lord, then remember thy handmaid. Meaning, she was blessing David. She was praying for David to be blessed. Basically, when he gets set up, have mercy upon her and what she has. She was blessing David, praying that the Lord bless David. Reading on, verse 32. And David said to Abigail, blessed be Yahweh power of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me, and blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou. So David is blessing Abigail, which has kept me this day from coming to shed blood. So David was saying, bless Abigail, because he didn't, for not taking matters into his own hands, for not making haste, making rash decisions. All right. So it says, and from avenging myself with my own hands. Okay. And this goes into the topic, taking matters into your own hands. Okay. Trusting in the Lord, casting your burdens on the Lord, and let him fight for you, and let him defend you, because we're Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's servants. Okay. Reading on. And from avenging myself with my own hands, for a very deed, as Yahweh, the power of Israel, liveth, which have kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hast hasted and come to meet me. Surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall. So David was coming to shed blood. All right, just for that one action, man. That offensive action. David made sure that his livestock, his riches, got back to him safely. And David asked for a favor that he give him some sheep, or he asked him for a little bit of his livestock for protecting him. And Nabal had shitted on David, so David was going to go and slay Nabal and slay that all Nabal had. He was going to slay his wife. He was going to slay his children. He's going to slay everything that he had. So it says, surely there had not been unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall. So it says, so David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, go up in peace to thy house. See, I have hearkened to thy voice and have accepted thy person. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in the house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry with him, for he had very drunken. Wherefore she told him nothing less or more until the morning light. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became as stone. Now, this is just a speculation. The heart represents your mind. So I don't know whether he had a seizure or a stroke, but it said his heart had died within him, and he became as stone. Your heart represents your mind. So he could have had a seizure or some type of stroke or some type of, attack on his brain. And it says, and he became as stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after that Yahweh smote Nabal, that he died. So check that out. Check that out. He ended up being put to death anyway. Not only he died, but the scriptures say he became as stone. So before he died, he got all jacked up in the flesh. Not only jacked up in the flesh, but he got jacked up in his spirit, the mind. Because the Hebrew word for heart is lab, okay, which represents your mind. So because of the offense that he caused David, he got jacked up in the spirit, the mind, and he got jacked up in the flesh. And then 10 days after, the Most High took his ass out. So how much more the scoffers and slanderers that talk shit about us today? How much more the people and the family members and all the jobs and all the enemies of the service of the Lord today? That's why we got to go back into the scriptures and go back into the history and see what happened to our forefathers and how they dealt with certain situations, so we could be comforted. About the situations that we go through today. All right. Verse 39. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be the Lord, blessed be Yahweh." So guess what? David praised Yahweh. He praised the Most High that Nabal got put to death. All right. And David, which goes back to the Hebrew word dawada, means beloved. He was a man after the Most High's heart. So if David praised the Lord for somebody that did evil unto him being put to death, how much more we? Showing you there's nothing wrong with praising the Lord when you hearing about a nigga dying, when a nigga that offended you or a nigga that did wrong, that persecuted us, that slandered and scoffed the word of the Lord being put to death. There's nothing wrong with praising the Lord for that. David did it. So now it says, and when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be Yahweh, that have pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal." So the same thing is going to happen to us, Akim. It says, "that have pleaded the cause of my reproach." Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is going to plead our reproach. Okay? He's going to plead our reproach. So it says, "and have kept his servant from evil," which the evil was, taking matters into your own hands. All right. So it says, "For Yahweh have returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head." And that's exactly what's going to happen to these niggas, man. And these slanderers and these scoffers and 2/3 of our people in Esau. The Lord is going to return the wickedness of them upon their own heads. And David sent a commune with Abigail to take her to him to wife. So not only Nabal got put to death, he got plagued in the mind and the flesh and then died. But then David ended up getting his woman, which in the earlier in that chapter, it said she was of beautiful countenance, showing you there's nothing wrong if a man dies, you can have his woman. Okay. But that's only if the man, the Most High takes the dude out, you know. So it says, "And when the servants of David were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, David sent us unto thee to take thee to him to wife. And she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth and said, Behold, let thy handmaid be a servant, and to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. And Abigail hasted and arose and rode upon an ass with 5 damsels of hers that went after her, and she went after the messengers of David and became his wife. David also took Ianon of Jezreel, and there were also both of them his wife." So showing you David had multiple women, man. And this was a man after the Most High's heart. Come on, man. We got examples in the scriptures for days, man. But pretty much that's it. I'm going to read these 2 precepts again. This is Proverbs chapter 20, verse 22. "Say not thou, I will recompense evil, but wait upon Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and he shall save thee. Hebrews 10:30. For we know him that have said, vengeance belongeth unto me. I will recompense, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And again, the Lord shall judge his people. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. And what's the example of that? Nabal. Nabal is the example of that. It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. Okay? Nabal is the greatest example. It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. And why is that? Because Nabal thought shit was sweet. He thought everything was all good. He thought, he had all the riches. David did that con act and fuck him, shit on him. Just like these scoffers and these slanderers and these niggas that's once amongst us, we treated them as brothers. We treated them, better than our own family members. But then they turn around and shit on us. They're going to fall in the stead of Nabal, man. They're going to fall into the light of Nabal, That's just, we got to go back into the history, man. We got to revert back to the scriptures. The things that are written for aforetime was written for our learning, that we, through patience of the scriptures, we might have hope. A lot of these niggas is going to fall in the light of Nabal, man. Okay? And basically that's it, man. That was it. It was a quick, live stream, about taking matters into your own hands, remembering the history of David, Nabal, and Abigail. David did a con act for Nabal, making sure that his livestock was protected. He asked Nabal for a favor. Nabal shitted on him. David was going to take him out and his whole household, his women, his children, his livestock. But Abigail ended up, through the spirit of the Lord, Abigail ended up stopping him, giving him an offering. And guess what happened to Nabal? He got plagued in the mind. He got plagued in the flesh. And then the Most High took his ass out. All right? And then David ended up getting his shit. So a lot of these niggas are doomed, man. They destined for death. We just got to continue to do what we do, and that's serve the Lord with fear and trembling, push his word, and love our neighbor as ourselves. Be brotherly. And pretty much that's it, man. Read a couple of comments. Hey, Shalom, Vegas sit downs. Yeah, it said probably a stroke. Yeah, it probably was a stroke. Or he probably had a seizure, because a seizure is a brain, a plague of the mind as well. And you become like stone, or a stroke, your body get paralyzed. This is Psalms 35:1. Plead my cause, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me. And that's it. David was doing, that's all the majority of Book of Psalms, man. David crying, sighing and crying, man. Asking for deliverance, asking for recompense, a vengeance, Hey, pretty much that was it, though. I pray you brothers was edified and got some understanding on this topic. Hey, I want to say to Wadi Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah for putting the spirit upon me to teach his word. And with that, I say Shalom.